Hey, this is Zach over at NV Woodworks. Today I'm going to be talking about my joiner. I got to do a little maintenance on it. I got the spiral cutter head and I need to turn all of them. So not the most interesting thing, but I thought it might be helpful, informational if somebody doesn't really know how these things operate or is maybe looking at purchasing one with the spiral cutter head and kind of want to see what's actually involved, you know, when you actually have to change the blades or, you know, move them. Overall, I think the spiral cutter head is the way to go. I've never owned a straight blade joiner, but I have used them and I hate them. They're terrible. When I want to come back and use mine if I'm ever in someone else's shop. So anyway, today I just wanted to kind of show how that works with changing the thing and talk about you know, the spiral cutter head and this joiner. So the joiner I bought when I first started woodworking about 10 years ago. And it's a Powermatic 8-inch. It's got the parallelogram beds, spiral cutter head, and it's the model number is PJ-882HH, if you care. Anyway, overall, this thing it's a dream to use, basically. Maintenance, I have done nothing. I mean, I've even moved from Vegas to up near Tahoe, and I still haven't had to make any adjustments to the beds. They're coplanar. So, sounds good to me. The fence, you know, you got to adjust that every once in a while, but overall, you know, there's no adjustment for the blade. There's no messing around with the tables so far. Maybe I'm just lucky, but I don't really think that they want you really messing with the beds unless, and I don't think you have to unless something major happens. So, pretty awesome. Now, as for the spiral cutter head, the reason I like it, there's about four big reasons why I like the spiral and why I definitely think it's worth the money. Number one, the cut. I can run figured woods, I can run the grain backwards over it. It doesn't matter what I do, it's going to give me a nice cut and I don't get tear out. So that alone is, as far as I'm concerned, is worth it. Now, the other thing is the noise level, because of the way that the spiral cutters, the way that it's cutting, it's a little different than the straight blade. The straight blade's coming up and it's just hacking at the wood, kind of scraping it. And so you get that kind of buzzing sound and it's, you know, coming up at a 90-degree angle and just tearing the wood off. This thing, it's coming up and it's more shearing. Number one, it's coming up flat and almost planing the surface. But the other thing is it's coming up and it's almost like when you're hand planing and you turn the blade, it's actually shearing at an angle also, coming across. So you get really good cuts. Because of that, the noise level is way lower. I mean, frankly, when I've used straight blade joiners, you should wear earmuffs, you know, or some kind of hearing protection using those things, because it's just way too loud. It's comparable. I have a lunchbox planer with the straight blades, and I mean, I have to use ear protection using that thing, period. So, so that's two things. Number three is the maintenance factor. The way that the spiral cutter head is milled or machined, all you got to do is tighten the cutter head down with a little screw, and it's in the position that it needs to be. It's lined up. It's aligned. Compared to the straight blade thing, you know, I'm sure it's not that hard, but it's a pain. You got to line them and make sure they're not crooked or, you know what, I don't want to deal with that. When you put these things in, they're going to be at the right level. They're going to be even with the outfeed bed, and you just unscrew it, screw it back in. That's it. So the last thing is the longevity of the edges. These are carbide inserts. Now, I'm not certain if the jointer knives are high-speed steel or carbide. I'm gonna guess they're probably high-speed steel, and compared to carbide, you know, the life of that is going to be a lot shorter. The other thing is, because of that shearing action, it doesn't put as much wear on the edge anyway. So it's kind of, I don't know, to me that's, you're getting a long life out of each edge. The other thing is, you're going to get a set of cutters with your joiner. This is actually the first set. I've owned this for 10 years. I'm still on the first set of cutters. Now I'm just about to switch them to the third edge, but so I got two more edges basically. It could probably last another 5 years. Who knows? Maybe not. I run a lot of wood over it now, but That 10-year mark, just to let you know, about 6 of those I was a weekend, woodworker. And I wasn't running nearly as much stock over it as I do now, but even still, I could easily probably leave these things on for a year and be fine. 6 to 8 months maybe, running a lot of stock over it. So the life of it is awesome. And then the other thing is, so you get a set of them, and there's 4 edges. Now, maybe some of the joiner knives are double-edged, where you can just flip them instead of just having one edge. I'm not, like I said, I've never owned one. I don't know how that works exactly, but bare minimum, you're getting twice as much edge off the first set. So, yeah, they cost a little bit more money, but I think they're totally worth it. Just the time factor, not having to mess with stuff and adjust things. I mean, I'm in here to do woodworking, so I'd much rather spend some money to get a good... The other thing is you're saving some wood. You're not getting as much tear out, which means you're not going to have to sand it as much or, whatever. So I'd rather just put my money down up front, get something like this that's going to save me time and effort and a little frustration, because sometimes when you're dealing with setting tools up, I get it's aggravating sometimes, and I can't stand it. So rather than be aggravated, woodwork. That's what I always say. So anyway, I'm going to go into it. I'm going to get a tight shot of me just kind of showing what I do, how you got to loosen them up and turn them and do whatever. Now, a couple things. I usually clean up the head. I blow it off with some air completely. Maybe clean up if there's any like hard chunked on wood. I'll clean that up with maybe a nylon brush, or sometimes if it's just really stubborn, I'll pull out a brass brush. That's about it. I mean, you want to make sure when you take the cutter off, before you've actually turned it, just make sure that the surface that it sits on is clean. You don't want any debris sitting there, because it could, when you tighten it back up, it could be off at that point. You just want to have everything clean, turn the thing, and then you're done. So I'm going to also time it so that you can kind of get an idea. I don't know how long it really takes people to change the knives in a straight blade joiner. I can imagine it with the adjustment and all that kind of stuff. You could be looking at an hour possibly. So we'll see how long it takes me to do this. There's 6 rows of 9 cutters. So there's 54 cutters. That's the only issue with these. With the joiners, you got like 3 blades. There's still a lot of, what do they call those? Jack nuts or jack screws, whatever. So I don't know how long it takes, but I'll time this, and if you got a straight blade joiner, let me know how long it takes you to switch your blades out. Yeah, so we'll go into that, and then, yeah, that's about it. Oh, the other thing is for maintenance, with this joiner, like I said, I haven't had to adjust anything on it, the beds or anything. The fence you do need to adjust. The one thing I hate about this joiner is the stupid cover thing. It's always in the way, or I don't like that thing. But other than that, a little bit of surface rust on the beds. So it's getting a little bit. There's a couple areas that need to be cleaned up. So I'll just take like a Scotch-Brite pad, a little bit of mineral spirits maybe. If it's hard rust, I might pull out some Rust-Oleum or whatever that stuff is. That takes off rust. Just clean it up a little bit, and then what I do to treat it afterwards is I'll T9 bow shield the whole thing, let it sit overnight, wipe it off, and then I put a coat of paste wax on top. So just to make sure that everything's sliding, there's no friction. So that's about it. I'm going to move into the cutters, and I'll probably come back after I'm done with that to tell you how long it took and all that kind of stuff. So hope you enjoy. Alright, so I got the cutters all cleaned up and turned and everything. A couple things that I did, there was a little bit of rust here and there, surface rust, and I used some mineral spirits. I actually used that Scotch-Brite and just kind of cleaned anything like that up, pulled out some brushes if it was hard. One thing I did though at the end, because I was using mineral spirits, it was kind of dried out, so I actually just grabbed a little bit of, what is that stuff called? 3-in-1 oil. And just kind of oiled the cutter head. Just applied it, and then I actually wiped it off, just to kind of give it a little bit of rust protection and let it be a little bit happier. Other than that, the next thing that I'm going to do is, like I said, I still haven't cleaned the beds, you know, gotten this surface rust and stuff off. So I'm going to do that. That's not very exciting. Most people know how to do that. The one thing is, I did time how long it took me to do all the cutters and get the whole thing cleaned up. It was about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and there was a couple areas that had some rust and stuff on it. So, you know, I was being pretty thorough with that. So I think, you know, if you didn't have a lot of buildup and junk on them, you could probably get through that in about 1 hour. No big deal. So other than that, I don't know. I guess if you have any questions for me, or if you know, if you're thinking about getting into you're looking into buying a joiner, if you have any questions for me about the spiral, I can try and help out. Now, one thing is, I don't know how Powermatic, I think Powermatic uses the Bird Helix Cutterhead. I don't know how that really compares to, you know, Grizzlies or Deltas or whoever, you know, I don't know how the spiral cutter heads compare, so don't even ask me that. But if you have questions about spiral, how they work or anything like that, I'd be happy to answer those if I can. And yeah, other than that, if you got questions, leave them in the comments. If you have any comments, definitely leave that. If you have a straight blade joiner, let me know how long it takes about to switch out the blades, and if they're high-speed steel or carbide. I'd like to know that, just so I can kind of compare it, because I don't really know that. Yeah, other than that, if you need to get a hold of me, you can also email me at zach@nvwoodworks.com. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like the videos and want to get notified when new ones come out. So you just click the red button. So anyway, see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.